The Microsoft Surface line of tablets has been fairly divisive for every evangelist. There are plenty of skeptics who doubt the device can truly replace a laptop. Microsoft is forging on with the fourth iteration regardless, building the Surface Pro for $1,299 as tested on the strongest points of its predecessors. It's a significant improvement over the Microsoft Surface Pro 3 in just about every way. And for the same price. Upgrades like a bigger, better display, an improved type cover and Surface Pen, and strong battery life in our tests make the Surface Pro 4 our editor's choice for high-end Slate tablets. We tested one of the mid-range configurations of the Surface Pro 4, featuring a 6th generation 2.4 GHz Intel Core i5-6300U processor with integrated Intel HD graphics, 528 GB of memory, and a 256 GB solid-state drive SSD for $1,299. There are 5 other models, the least expensive of which is $899 with an Intel Core M3 processor, 4 GB of memory, and 128 GB of storage, while the top-end model features an Intel Core i7 CPU, 16 GB of memory, and 512 GB of storage for $2,199. View all 9 photos in Gallery Design and Features. The Surface Pro 4 measures 7.93 by 11.5 by 0.33 inches HWD and weighs 1.73 pounds, just slightly smaller and lighter than the Surface Pro 3, which measures 8 by 11.5 by 0.36 inches and weighs 1.75 pounds. The Surface Pro 4 actually packs a larger display into its slightly smaller frame, 12.3 inches compared with 12 inches, by decreasing the bezel size to create more screen real estate. The Apple iPad Air 2, a 9.7-inch tablet that does not run a full PCOS, is slimmer at 9.4 by 6.6 by 0.24 inches, while the Apple MacBook Air 13-inch, a full laptop, is 0.68 by 12.8 by 8.94 inches and 2.96 pounds. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 9.7, an Android tablet, is also bigger and thinner at 9.34 by 6.65 by 0.22 inches HWD. Like the Microsoft Surface Book, the Surface Pro 4's body is made of high-quality silver magnesium alloy, and the back is adorned with a shiny, mirror-like Windows logo. The adjustable kickstand is mostly the same as it was on the Surface Pro 3, not a bad thing, but it can be adjusted a little more easily and feels sturdier. It's useful for propping the system up on your lap or at a table, though it can't replicate a traditional typing experience without the type cover, which will run you an extra $129.99. I wish it were included, since you'll need it for the Surface Pro 4 to truly serve as a laptop replacement. The stand can be easily adjusted to find the most comfortable position, especially useful if you're using the system on your lap. I personally never found balancing a Surface device on my lap for typing any more awkward than with a traditional laptop, and the kickstand's edge has been rounded out to help prevent it from digging into your legs, an issue with previous Surface Pro models. When it's flat against the system in tablet mode, the stand can be a little difficult to get a hold of and extend naturally, even with the indents in the sides. The display has a 2736 by 1824 resolution and comes with Microsoft's new Pixel Sense technology, which provides high contrast and cuts down on glare. The display looks brilliant on the Surface Pro 4, and is extremely bright, with rich colors. Text is sharp, and video is crisp and clear on the screen. The adjustable stand works well in conjunction with the display, allowing you to find the best angle depending on how you're seated without a loss in picture quality. Using the Surface Pro 4 as a tablet is a comfortable experience, though your mileage may vary on how you feel holding it in the crook of one arm. In testing, I didn't find my arm tiring especially quickly, and the included Surface Pen goes a long way in making the tablet more viable to use while holding in one hand. As with the Surface Pro 3, clicking the eraser button on the Surface Pen brings up OneNote instantly, which still works like a charm. You can also double-click the Surface Pen to take a screenshot, which you can crop and draw on right away in OneNote. Holding down the eraser button now also brings up Cortana, a digital assistant that can help you with searches, set reminders, manage your calendar, and more. Typing on a virtual keyboard is never ideal, and the Surface Pen can take your real handwriting and turn it into text. In testing, this feature was a bit hit and miss and greatly depends on the neatness of your penmanship, but it gets the job done once you learn the shortcuts. The Surface Pen feels great to use on the touch screen, with a real sense of pressure. Line thickness will change depending how hard you press and a working eraser. The somewhat silly loop for storing the pen on the Surface Pro 3's type cover is gone. Instead, you can attach the pen magnetically to the left or right side of the Surface Pro 4. The type cover is superior to the last iteration in every regard. The backlit keys are more spread out, and have better travel. The touchpad in particular is hugely improved. It's bigger, much more sensitive, and feels a lot smoother to scroll across. The magnetic latch that secures the keyboard to the display introduced on the Pro 3 type cover for use on your lap is even more secure than in the previous iteration, and the type cover is also lighter at just 0.64 pounds. The new type cover works with the Surface Pro 3, and vice versa. Microsoft would have a real home run on its hands if it includes type cover with the Surface Pro 4. I can't see why you would bother with the system without one, but for now they must still be purchased separately. The tablet features Windows Hello facial recognition software that's built into Windows 10 and saves you the trouble of typing in a password every time you reach for the device, and will protect it from falling into the wrong hands. There's also an 8-megapixel rear-facing camera that can record in 1080p. The image quality of test photos was good, not great, but videos recorded with the rear camera were particularly sharp in testing. The system has a USB 3.0 port, a Surface Connect port for the new Surface Dock, and a micro SD card reader on the right side and a headphone jack on the left. The power button and the volume rocker are on top of the tablet, and the port for the keyboard is on the bottom. An additional USB port would have gone a long way. It's disappointing Microsoft chose to stick with just one, which is an issue we had with the Pro 3. The Surface Pro 4 features stereo Dolby speakers, which don't have visible grills and instead produce sound from the interior of the tablet and through the ventilation. They can get pretty loud, and don't lose too much quality at high volumes. There is also an accelerometer and a gyroscope. For wireless connectivity, you get 802.11 AC, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.0. Microsoft backs the product with a 1-year warranty. Performance with its 2.4 GHz Intel Core i5-6300U processor and 8 GB of memory. The Surface Pro 4 is generally very snappy, booting up very quickly and running smoothly. Its productivity performance is solid, at 2,612 points on the PC Mark 8 Work conventional test. It matches similarly priced systems, like the Asus Transformer Book T300 Qi 2615 and the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 14 2410. The Surface Pro 3 scored very slightly higher, 2,699, than the Pro 4 on this test, which is likely due to its lower resolution display. See how we test tablets on our Handbrake video encoding test. The Surface Pro 4 finish in 2 minutes 20 seconds, which beats out the Surface Pro 3259 and the MacBook Air 13-inch 249. Its time of 310 on the Adobe Photoshop CS6 test is also much quicker than the Surface Pro 3's 448 and the MacBook Air 13-inch 513. The Surface Pro 4 scored 307 on the Cinebench test, besting the Microsoft Surface Pro 3255, as well as the Asus Transformer Book T300 Qi 254. These improved scores can be attributed to the brand new processor, providing an overall bump in performance compared with the Surface Pro 3 and the competition. While the Surface Pro 4 will never be the machine for an enthusiast gamer, it is competent enough to run some games at medium quality settings. In the Heaven and Valley 3D tests, it returned 21 frames per second FPS and 23 FPS, respectively, at medium quality settings and 1366 by 768 resolution, which are a bit below what we consider playable numbers. Still, you should be able to play some slower-paced games like Civilization or Football Manager. Just don't expect to run any of the latest action games at high quality, since the system didn't break 3 FPS on our gaming tests at ultra-quality settings. Battery life is where the Surface Pro 4 really shines, lasting 10 hours 19 minutes on our rundown test. This is a big jump up from the already great 855 battery life of the Surface Pro 3, and significantly longer than the Asus Transformer Book T300 G554 and the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 14613. Conclusion: the Microsoft Surface Pro 4 is a refined, versatile system that can accomplish almost any task in day-to-day use. The tablet runs full Windows 10 smoothly, and the kickstand and the Surface Pen are better than they've ever been for working on the go. The only obvious aspect of a traditional laptop missing from the Surface Pro 4 is a keyboard, which is solved with the type cover. It does add $130 to the tablet's price, but it gives the Surface Pro 4 the full functionality of a laptop. While the price of the tablet and type cover together is $300 more than the list price of the 13-inch Apple MacBook Air, the Surface Pro 4 does give you tablet functionality and a touch screen with a higher resolution.